Diablo 4 Season 2, the Season of Blood, is set to release October 17th. They are saying it's going to be the largest content update thus far in the game. So we're excited to see what updates we're going to learn about today in this video as we live react to the developer stream happening over on the Diablo channel on Twitch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Hey man, I'm excited for this. It's gonna be lit.
Season 2 will be our biggest update to Diablo 4 since launch.
Sheesh.
A new quest line, events to play as you drive back the vampiric horde, unholy vampiric powers to wield, and new endgame encounters to test your skill.
And players will need to harness the enemy's own blood magic against them to end this new evil before it's too late. In Diablo 4.
So Season of Blood is going to be vampire abilities.
2, the people of Sanctuary.
Malignant hearts are gone.
Invasion by an army of vampires. This shadowy vampire cult has laid claim to large areas of the world and have begun abducting innocent citizens to use in their dark rituals.
I'm excited to see what the content goes here.
Including your own.
In Season 2, players are going to uncover a plot led by a new ancient vampire named Lord Zir, who's awoken recently.
Lord Zir is a remnant of the Lost Age. Before there were humans in Sanctuary, it was inhabited by the firstborn children of Inarius and Lilith, who are known as the Ancients.
But because of Inarius' actions, the Ancients had their powers drawn away from them. But some among them were not strictly subject to a true death.
Zir and his cohort were banished to sleep for an eternity in the city of the Ancients, but due to the events of Diablo 4, the city began to awake, with dire consequences for the humans living on the surface above.
During the events of Season 2, the player is going to contract a vampiric curse, but they're not
under Lord Zir's control. We're going to get bitten by a vampire,
which gives them a unique opportunity to strike back against the cult and stop Lord Zir's plans.
We'll encounter a variety of new characters this season, including a band of vampire hunters, one with a particularly
What if I wanted to be a bad vampire?
Seek out Zir's army, kill as many.
They should give you that choice, like, yo,
professional vampire
choose your own path.
She's crossed and recrossed the wilds of Sanctuary, putting an end to the undead since long before the events of Diablo 4.
Bro, this is gonna be sick.
One of the core seasonal mechanics for this season are vampiric powers. Vampiric powers can be acquired by defeating blood seekers.
So instead of hearts, we have the powers.
To acquire potent blood, which allows you to unlock or upgrade vampiric powers.
When you collect all of these various powers, they have costs, which are going to be detailed as part of the pack system. So armor pieces that you collect during the course of the season are going to have these packs associated with them.
There are 3 types of packs, and you can use the boons they provide in order to fuel the blood seals for various vampiric powers. You can combine the power of different blood seals in the Sanguine Circle, so long as you have the appropriate combination of packs in order to power them.
I wonder if this will be broken for other builds.
Hard to do is to provide powers that enhance every build.
Oh, never mind. There they go.
One right way to
no broken bulwark druid. Everybody has a fair shot.
In particular that I like, where as the player dashes, they turn to a cloud of bats. And
that looks dope.
Creatures they pass through along the way. As you kill those creatures, you're going to actually steal their souls. When you use certain abilities on your character, all of those souls are unleashed, dealing devastating damage to nearby creatures.
That looks sick.
There's also an ability called Rising Moon, where you can stack basic skills, and after you reach a maximum number of stacks, you go into a vampiric blood rage. If you can't get enough of bats, there's even a vampire power.
That seems like that'll be real dope.
They'll take
with the bar,
your enemies and have a chance to stun them.
Stacking basic attacks.
Lord
Might be
Zir's
going bards for this
pushing
season.
Across Sanctuary in an event called the Blood Harvest, which will always be active somewhere on the map, but will change locations in a cyclical
so
way.
The Blood Harvest is always active, but it changes
where
locations.
Have overwhelmed an area in the hopes of enslaving the populace, harvesting their blood, and siring more vampires.
Players will venture into these areas to rescue prisoners, stop sinister rituals, and hunt for high-value enemies. Of course, they'll be rewarded for their efforts with a variety of new items, as well as the potent blood that fuels their vampiric powers.
In-game bosses.
In Season 2, the Season of Blood, we're going to be adding 5 new returning end-game bosses.
This was already information that they shared.
World Tiers 3
they didn't give any details, though.
Players will be able to earn the materials to summon these bosses by completing Whispers and by completing Helltide events.
We have some new enemies with powerful elemental attacks, giving players more reason to seek out and equip gear that enhances their resistances.
So resistances are supposedly being fixed or reworked in this new season, so hopefully they work correctly. So that'll be dope to actually see and actually, you know, have resistances take effect on your armor.
What sets these new in-game bosses apart is that they offer a new way to farm uniques. So if there's a build-defining unique you're after, you'll be able to target farm specific bosses.
And our most challenging boss that we're going to be adding as part of Season 2 is also going to have an opportunity to drop extremely rare unique items that players have been hunting for.
Ooh, were they talking about uber uniques?
We're also going to be adding some quality of life updates in Season 2. The first of which is we're going to be taking our gem system and making it so when gems drop for the player, you're actually collecting materials. They're going to be stored differently. They're not going to go into your inventory the same way.
Thank you.
To help alleviate some of the concerns about
God.
inventory space players have talked
Thank
about
you.
before.
As long as you
Gems are no longer going to be stored in your inventory. I've been saying that forever. I was like, yo, either gems should automatically go somewhere else. Oh, bro, that's a W. That's a W.
finish the prologue, you can now choose to skip the rest of the campaign and dive straight into creating a seasonal character. If you previously unlocked a mount in Diablo 4, it will be immediately available to use
The
when you
mount
begin your journey through the
follows
Season
you,
of
of
Blood.
course.
And we've made it so that renown rewards persist through seasons, so that the reward is now account bound.
That's
As
a
we do
W.
with every new season, we'll be adding a new season journey and a new battle pass filled with new, like, vampiric theme.
Hey, we're gonna do a battle pass vid too. We're gonna have to look at this in depth and just see what's going on. So you're gonna have different season blessings again, huh? It looks like we're gonna have for a season blessing like a horse, a mount blessing, and this looks like a Helltide chest blessing. It looks like the elixir thing is gonna be here to stay, which is respectable. So with the XP, that should always stay there, I believe. But yeah, we're gonna have to do a battle pass vid as well.
Cosmetics for them to collect, and we'll also be adding some new town portal cosmetics, both in the free and paid versions of our battle pass in Season 2.
Interesting.
We'll also be making a number of other changes to the game, updating unique powers and items, reviewing legendary aspects for different classes. We're going to be updating stats like our resistance values across the game, and a number of other
I can't
balance
wait to
make
try
sure
that.
the game is as fun as possible for players.
One of the most exciting things for me about working on Seasons is that Sanctuary is a big place and there's a lot going on. The primevals and the angelic forces are still very much in play, but I think players are going to enjoy seeing some more human scale dramas play out.
Hopefully the
Diablo
content
4's
is
second
longer.
season will be our largest content update yet, but we're only getting started. Along with providing
Like
new
the
quest
season
lines,
content is
powers,
longer,
and
like the
events
actual
each
story.
season, we'll continue to improve upon established systems by listening to player feedback to make your adventure in Sanctuary the best it can be.
We're incredibly excited for you to explore more corners of Sanctuary, so come join us in the hunt.
In Season 2, the players are going to be confronting a new villain who's
Again, season 2, Season of Blood for D4 launches October 17th. If you didn't know,
begun to like surface throughout Sanctuary. A character named Lord Zir, this ancient vampire who's awoken recently and begun to like gather all of these vampire cultists and other followers to his banner in effort to like kind of overtake Sanctuary and achieve his own aims across the world. Now, while the player is progressing through the season, they're going to meet a new character named Eris, who I think we have. So you're going to meet Eris during the course of the season. Eris is a vampire hunter who's been trying to like thwart Lord Zir for the past the past few weeks and months. Trying to hunt them down and try to eliminate them entirely. She's not having great luck sort of investigating the cults. She needs more help. The player is going to kind of enter the picture, but as part of the story, as the player is progressing through the season, mild spoiler here, but the player is going to contract vampirism. Now, but due to the strange nature of the interaction with the Lilith's blood in the player character, they're going to be able to resist some of the effects of Lord Zir's influence.
main character plot armor right there.
Instead, gain all of those same powers without those detriments that are holding back other creatures, which can be really, really cool. But Eris is going to be fairly nervous about this, as she's only ever seen anyone who ends up actually contracting vampirism this way end up following and serving Lord Zir in the end, regardless of their intentions overall, which we dig more into a little bit later on with enemies and such.
So we have new dungeons.
Side note, me and the homie Antonio got the same lock style, except for his locks are loose at the bottom, mine are braided. Just throwing that out there, and his are red and mine are blonde. Just fun things.
That are a part of the quest line. You can explore crypts. There's a really cool dungeon at the end when you are going to confront Zir for the final battle. And in addition to that, throughout the story, you will be revisiting some old places that are a bit different now that Zir's minions have come and taken over.
So you have crypts, and it seems like he's basically saying most of the dungeons are going to be the same, but different enemies basically, and kind of reskinned-ish, maybe?
Yeah. So I think we're seeing some of the dungeon stuff here.
Yep.
So the new dungeons in the quest line are pretty cool, particularly that finale that you called out, like when you're going to sort of get a chance to, once you've tracked down Lord Zir with Eris and you get a chance to really confront him in his lair. Those are some pretty epic moments that we don't want to actually show on stream just
no
now.
spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers for all that stuff just yet, but definitely a lot of things to look forward to. So the player's going to meet other characters as well as they're progressing through the season. You know, there are other
That rogue build looks interesting.
allies they kind of are going to meet. They're going to learn more about Lord Zier's plans overall.
What rogue build was that? Well, I've only done 2 rogue builds so far.
What his real intentions are for Sanctuary as all of this is going on. So that's kind of like the high level of what's happening in the world. Basically, Lord Zier and his army of vampiric cultists are trying to take everything over, and that manifests in a bunch of different ways throughout the season.
So now we're about to go into the mechanics overview. My question is just how long is the season going to last, content-wise? The Malignant Hearts seemed like it ended, within an hour? If you sat down for an hour, you finished it? It felt like it just moved by quick. I don't know if it's because I waited till I was a high level and I actually started doing it or what, but hopefully this, the content lasts, the seasonal story content lasts longer, maybe, but we'll see.
But I think the first thing I really want to talk about, or the next thing I want to talk about, are the mechanics, what you're going to be doing during the season to kind of gain power and such. So we talk about the fantasy of the season is that the player is basically becoming part vampire. Part of that comes down to making sure that we have cool vampiric powers for players to collect and use. So what we see here...
Whoa. So we have a new... I'll let him explain it. I just wanted to look at this. The UI. The UI has changed a little bit. So this is a rogue build, but of course... So it'll be on your character. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so of course, instead of hearts, we have vampiric powers, but yeah, let's just see how all this works.
Here is our vampiric power user interface. It's the way players are going to be able to collect a lot of powers as they're progressing through the season, and then slot them into the circular UI above. So throughout the season, players are going to be able to acquire up to 22 vampiric powers as they play. And these are designed such that they are, unlike in Season 1 where with Malignant Hearts, we had a lot of very class-specific hearts baked in. We tried to make sure that the vampiric powers that players collect in Season 2 are all class-agnostic in nature.
That's a big thing. So no class-specific vampiric powers for this season because, yeah, I don't know. It gives you a lot more flexibility now that you're not just farming for one specific heart for your class. So... You give you a lot of different combinations that we can probably run through.
So that there's just more combinations and things for players to select from and play with as they're thinking about their build.
You can add these different packs to your armor, but it only works on chest armor, gloves, pants, or boots. Well, the usual. So it doesn't work on weapons and amulets and stuff, apparently. Okay. So no vampiric abilities for rings, I'm guessing, but we'll see what he says a little later. And I also want to know, what is that liquid to the right? I'm guessing that's just materials you get to make packs, or what?
You know, the packs are only going to appear in armor. They don't appear on jewelry or on weapons, just on armor pieces.
So just on armor pieces?
And I should say, every armor piece that drops during the course of the Season of Blood will always have packs associated with them as well. So you're not looking for items that are going to have. It's not...
Okay, so... Every armor piece will have some type of pack on it. It's not like they're just going to come naked. Or some might come naked, but they should have at least a couple of packs on them already.
Rare in that way. And as the player progresses through the season, they're going to also gain these new items they're able to collect from completing various content types. We'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. But these allow players to basically remove packs from items. They allow them to eject new packs into items up to the pack limit, which is based upon the tier of content the player is playing in. So normal items have 3, and then Sacred have 4, and then on to 5 as you go into Ancestral.
Dope.
So as you're progressing through, you can get more of these packs, and you have a lot more control over your ultimate pack loadout.
So as part of Season 2, we actually added a bunch of new monsters. Lord Zier has a ton of different minions that will be all throughout the continent. First, we have here our Shadow Vampires. These guys are not your typical flavor of vampires. They have a bunch of really cool new attacks. You'll see them all over the overworld. You'll see them in a variety of dungeons. Paired with these guys, we also have our Blood Skeletons. These guys are kind of similar to our regular skeletons, but they also come with new attacks that allow you to have new counterplay and techniques in order to defeat them and get around them. So be prepared for that.
Yeah, they have a little more area denial baked in their kits, right? As you're fighting some of the blood skeletons.
Yeah, you definitely want to watch where you step, when you're engaging with these guys.
Yeah, and the vampires have these cool things where they occasionally drop these giant heart-like lumps on the ground, and sometimes they'll be able to trigger shields off of these things. So you kind of change your target priority as you're going through spaces where you have to fight shadow vampires frequently to make sure that you're knocking these things out to prevent those shields from being applied. So yeah, there's some cool things to react to as part of this.
So we also have Lord Zir. Here he is.
I'm already feeling his vibes. He's sitting there, the evil pose, plotting
on his throne.
Brooding.
Yes. He is the mastermind. You will be facing off of with him throughout the season and during the end of the season. He is our big bad evil guy, and coming along with him are his lieutenants, the Bloodseekers.
Oh yeah, the Bloodseekers. So Bloodseekers are really cool. So Bloodseekers are a new idea in season 2,
Whoa.
and the concept here is that like as the player has been is sort of protected a little bit by Lilith's blood in this way, that they're not able to be controlled by Lord Zir after they contract vampirism under his in his forces. There are other heroes who've gone out there that don't have that same level of protection. You've gone out there trying to stop Lord Zir, trying to stop the vampire.
So you're going to be fighting actual heroes?
And they have fallen victim
Yo.
to the blood cults.
So apparently you're going to be able to fight actual other classes, non-PvP but PvP, kind of?
And to Lord Zir's forces that way. And for those characters, now you've got vampiric sorceresses, you've got vampiric barbarians, you've got these Bloodseekers out there looking to kill you, the player. So as you're progressing through, you'll be dealing with enemy rogues, you'll be dealing with enemy...
An enemy penetrating shot rogue, I'm just going to say, is going to be annoying, especially if you're fighting a mob. As a penetrating shot rogue, bro, myself, if you're fighting a mob and you got like a penetrating shot enemy rogue now shooting at you, bro, pain.
Druids and necromancers as you're playing, and dealing with their specific like spells and kits that we've created for the season for players to interact with. And honestly, finding Bloodseekers is great because these guys are just blood bags. You know, they have a really, really good chance to drop potent blood. And potent blood is going to be the currency that you're going to be collecting through the season. They'll be able to use to basically upgrade powers that you already have, your vampiric powers.
So we have blood. I'm guessing that's what those liquid packs were that we talked about during the mechanics when he opened the inventory, those little liquids that we saw. I'm guessing that's what he's talking about, potent blood. And
unlock new ones that are available through the vampiric power UI. So really, whenever you find Bloodseekers, you want to take them out because they are, first, they're pretty fun to fight, they're a little challenging, but they also have the ability to give you big upgrades for your vampiric powers. And they can jump you too, right? So like, we make sure like, Bloodseekers are, you'll find them in the world, particularly like in Blood Harvest. We'll talk about that again. I keep saying we'll talk about things in a minute, but there are lots of chances to get them, to fight them in Blood Harvest. But you can also find them in dungeons and stuff too, right?
Yeah, so you can see them in the overworld, but they will also invade you in dungeons, so don't let them catch you slipping.
Said a key phrase that I always say, don't get caught lacking out here. I be getting caught lacking by the butcher sometimes, so. And they said they can jump me, so that means it'll be fighting multiple at the same time?
They will be all over, finding you when you least expect it.
Yeah. So you just, as you're passing through a dungeon, you will have a barbarian jump on you, whirlwind, they'll be all trying to slow you down, right, yeah, and causing problems.
This whole season, it just looks like it's going to be dope. I was never on the whole D4 bad train. It definitely has some improvements to make, but that's expected with any new game, unfortunately. But, hey, they're making strides. They're giving communication, so I can't even be mad at it. I'm all for this.
So I mentioned before that Lord Zir is taking over Sanctuary, and Blood Harvest is really the way that we're representing that. Starting right at level 1, you'll find that Lord Zir's minions have taken over broad swaths of the 5 zones in Sanctuary. And it's going to be filled with like his minions out there trying to like drain the blood from a variety of different people. There's that
emergency alert.
There's that emergency alert we talked about.
That thing went off when I was in a work meeting. I was like, what the hell?
Okay. So while these events are active, or rather these activities are active, you'll find Lord Zir's armies like marching across Sanctuary, taking people hostage, taking them prisoner, draining them of blood, and just causing general havoc in these areas where there's like new propping and there's new creatures. There's lots of things to do as you're kind of going through this.
So what's the difference between Blood Harvest and Helltide?
That's what I was about to ask.
That's a great question, Antonio. So obviously there's some similarities to the way that things are working in Helltide. The difference here is that first of all, it's available right away at level 1, as you're progressing. But also, while these events are active, there's always a Blood Harvest active across Sanctuary at any given time. Like, when a Blood Harvest ends in one location somewhere in Sanctuary, a new one's going to pop up as Lord Zir's forces now move to a new location. And one of the cool things about Blood Harvest, it's a little bit different.
So again, Blood Harvest are always going to be on the map. They may relocate, but difference to Hell Ties, they're there from level 1 and they're always on the map. I'm guessing you clear it and then it, it transfers over to somewhere else on the map. So it's going to be interesting, yeah.
And things like Helltide is that as you're kind of going through and playing, you're going to be earning a couple of new materials that you don't get elsewhere. And that is, you're going to be able to earn Bloodlures, which Bloodlures that you'll be able to use to basically like bait Bloodseekers to come to you to be able to fight packs of them as time goes on. And you're also going to be earning these vampiric keys you can use to open like prisoners like cuffs, to be able to open vampiric caches and other things out in the overworld. And one of the cool things about this is that these materials that you're collecting, these currencies that you need to kind of like do some of these activities, these don't disappear at the end of a blood harvest. So as you collect them, they stay with you from that point forward. So there's not limited progress in that way. Yeah, here's an example of a player going and using blood lures to summon a few.
So you use a blood lure to summon the blood seekers or the fallen heroes, the actual other classes that have died. Unfortunate, skill issue, that have died trying to kill the King Vamp.
Of the blood seekers in combat. So yeah, and then whirlwinding accordingly. But so that's a couple differences. And the other is there's actually another new feature they're adding in Season 2, which we're calling right here, it's called Hunter's Acclaim. And as you do things in the Blood Harvest area, as you're killing Bloodseekers, as you are freeing prisoners, as you're completing new Blood Harvest themed whispers that are also going to be active in those areas, you're going to be earning Hunter's Acclaim that will allow you to basically go and earn a number of other rewards. Some of the vampiric powers that you want to unlock for your character are available through the system, a few of them, and then there's lots of like potent blood you can get from the system, and then also gear as well.
That's dope. I like that. Definitely, extra rewards is always a good thing.
You're progressing through. Eventually you get out of World Tiers 1, 2, and get into World Tier 3 after you finish the capstone. Here you get to do, you have higher level whispers to do. You get exposed to Nightmare Dungeons for the first time. You get exposed to Helltide for the first time. World Boss get a little bit tougher. Legion events get a little bit tougher, and we're making some changes there as well. And then eventually you get into World Tier 4.
So they're making changes. He said they're going to make changes to World Bosses and Legion events. I wonder how they would change. They'll probably, I don't know, if they add more enemies, make it a little more difficult. That'll be dope. Legion events, at least. World Bosses already pretty cool, I guess.
Now you're getting your ancestral items, and you continue to move on through Nightmare Dungeons, and you continue on through Helltide until eventually you go and you confront Echo of Lilith.
Echo of Lilith, that's something that we will do this season. I've been pushing it back further and further as I've been just trying with these other weird builds that aren't meta. But this season we're gonna do some attempts at Echo of Lilith. We're gonna probably end up beating her. Not even probably, we will put her in the pack. It's gonna break my heart to hurt Mommy Lilith, but for the content, I guess.
Potentially, if that's one of your goals for yourself, and you try to take her out. So that's kind of like what we had in place right at launch. Not even thinking about Season 1 necessarily, but that's like what the end game sort of looks like. It's a lot of Nightmare Dungeons, a lot of Helltide.
Oh, they're about to change up.
And we've heard a lot of feedback from players, and also from our experiences.
They're about to change up the content.
That players are looking for more milestones, or looking for more goals. They're looking for more like things to farm, ways to make their characters powerful.
Facts.
So there's some big changes we're making as part of the Season of Blood, and we can show that here.
Ooh, whoa. Let's see. So 1 through 50 doesn't change much, but 50 through 70 you have Whispers, and now you have Echoes of Rashan. Of course, your typical Nightmare Dungeons, Capstone 2, Helltide. Whoa, we have something in the Helltide. 71 through 100, Echoes of Arshan still. The Beast in the Ice, Duriel, King of Maggots, the Galvanic Saint again, and Lord Zir. Oh, these are the 5 in-game bosses they were talking about here.
So now, when the player gets into World Tier 3, there's 2 new bosses for them, or 1 returning boss for them to go and engage with. The first is Echo of Varshan, our good boy Varshan that everybody loves, is going to be back in Season 2.
I wouldn't say love.
Hunt down in order to kill, to get various craft materials they can use to summon other bosses later, but also specifically to get uniques that only drop from Varshan.
Mm-hmm.
So every one of the bosses that we add as part of the Season of Blood is going to have their own distinct loot list associated with them. So if you want to go hunt Varshan, you need to go complete Whispers. There's chances for you to find like malignant creatures as you're completing Whispers in the overworld, and for a chance to occur. And you'll also be able to get these new malignant body parts you need from completing Whisper bounty turn-ins. So when you go and you get your cash reward at the end of a Whisper run, there's a chance for you to have one of the pieces that you need to summon Varshan, reconstitute him.
I want to see what these things look
like. In the Season
like.
of Blood, there are new layers that have been added around the world. And the lair for Varshan is in a kind of a corrupted hollow, malignant hollow beneath the Tree of Whispers. So right there's an entrance down in where you're able to fight some awesome malignant creatures. No malignant hearts dropping, but malignant creatures certainly down there. And at the end of that small dungeon, you're able to go and basically throw these materials into this new brazier that we've added to be able to summon Varshan back from the dead to fight him for the special loot that he has. Now, that one of the new creatures that we're adding is this the Galvanic Saint, which we'll show off some of the new art for some of these characters in just a moment.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
But this is a new very lightning themed boss that players will be able to go and engage with as they complete Helltide content.
Back on Helltide, maybe.
And that's actually something that might be worth pointing out. While we're not talking about the elemental resistance changes until next week when Adam comes back with
that's what I was like.
Talk about all the class changes and itemization updates that are happening as part of the season. It's worth pointing out that several of the bosses in this chain have they are very elementally themed in terms of their attacks. So you should be looking for like lightning resist explicitly if you're trying to farm Grigwar, and you'll be looking for...
So does that mean you would have to have like a lightning resist build, frost resist build, fire resist build, now that resistances are going to be more of a factor? We'll have to see next week, like you said, when they actually give the more updates on resistances, class changes, and all itemization changes. That's what I really can't wait to hear, but okay.
So now we're talking about World Tier 4 for a second. So you've got into World Tier 4. Echo Varshan is now still available for you to fight in World Tier 4, where he drops ancestral versions of those same unique items. And the Galvanic Saint is also available for players to fight to get ancestral versions of those unique items. So those are still there. Additionally, when you kill Varshan and when you kill the Galvanic Saint in World Tier 4, they drop summoning components that you need in order to summon Duriel, King of Maggots, who is a new level 100 boss that we're adding as part of the seasonal experience.
A new level 100?
Unique items, as well as a low chance to drop uber unique items.
Ooh.
So what does that mean, like, in terms, when you say uber uniques, a lot of people go like, oh, low chance, there's already a low chance, so what does that mean for a player for uber uniques now with this new system?
What's the percent?
You will absolutely know people that have uber uniques.
That's a W, because uber uniques are like, what, 1 in a billion it seems like? I don't know anybody that has an uber unique, personally. Yeah.
So the Beast in Ice is a new boss that you can go and summon after you start completing Nightmare Dungeons higher than Tier 30. So Tier 31 plus Nightmare Dungeons, level 85-ish.
Tier 31? Oh, that must be a typo then. It says Nightmare Dungeon tiers 21 through 100, unless he misspoke.
Monsters and so on from there. As you fight and complete these Nightmare Dungeons, there's chances for the components that you need to drop at the end of the Nightmare Dungeon. You'll be able to use to make a new special Nightmare Dungeon key that explicitly brings you to the Beast in Ice's lair. So that is the way to summon forth the Beast in Ice and fight them in combat to get their special loot. And they've got some really potent items as well. And then lastly, for the new boss we're adding with the season, is we talked about Lord Zir already. While you'll be able to confront like a story version of Lord Zir as you go through the quest line in World Tiers 1 and 2, there is a much more difficult, challenging version of Lord Zir that you'll fight in World Tier 4 once you're ready for that content. You'll be able to access and summon forth Lord Zir this way as you complete.
I'm actually doing meta build
in Season 4 and as you kill, in Season 2 rather. Season 4.
Just so I can run through this.
Bosses, yeah, I know, I really am. As you kill world bosses in World Tier 4, and as you complete Legion events in World Tier 4, you'll be able to gather these materials forward and bring them to go and summon Lord Zir. Yeah, okay.
It's the lightning guy. Oh, that's going to
see Grigwar summoning in for the first time. Very excited for players to go and do that fight. The Beast in Ice in his new lair. And of course,
oh god,
Duriel,
he gonna
Maggots,
be poisoned.
So
oh, that's gonna kill me.
Very fun. So yeah, these three we obviously.
Yo, look at the 3 new bosses that bro, these guys look dope. I already know that poison dude is gonna be pain, and maybe the Saint lightning guy is gonna be pain. I could probably do it with the ice, but I'm not even gonna say anything too early because I might get bodied by all 3.
But on October 10th, we're talking more about class balance changes. We're also talking about unique item updates. In fact,
can't wait for that.
Every unique item is getting some sort of update
from
Diablo 4.
That's gonna
and we're actually going to be talking more about
go
that
hard
on the 10th. So these unique items are obviously going to be, big things to actually kind of hunt for play.
Campfire chat on October 10th. That is less than a week from today at the time of this video. So it'll be October 10th. October 10th, another chat with the devs where they give more updates on class changes, item changes, all that fun stuff. That's going to be a W. All right, general improvements, the summary list. So, Scrolls of Escape, now consumed if a hardcore player DCs while in combat. It'll teleport you to a safe location. So if you're in hardcore mode, you DC while you're in the combat, it's going to teleport you away if you have a Scroll of Escape, but it will consume it. So yeah, that's that. The incense, which we really need to start taking advantage of if we're in a party, since we do play with a lot of the Cam fam a lot. They grant a bonus to experience and they persist after you die. The experience bonuses that we just looked at, there are going to be a 40% experience bonus increase compared to season 1. So it seems like the goal for this season is for them to get as many players to 100 so they can really enjoy more of the in-game content with the new changes that they're upgrading. So that'll be interesting. Like I said, I want to see how the community reacts to this, but we'll keep moving from there. The waypoints. So whenever you skip the campaign and you start fresh, season 1, for example, you had to go through and find all the waypoints all over again, but now you're starting with 10 unlocked waypoints, so that's W. You don't have to explore as much, so that definitely helps a lot. Renown rewards persist between seasons and new characters, so that's a W. No, come on now. We all love grinding renown, but, you know, come on, that helps. Overworld monsters in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4, they will no longer trail the player's level after 55 and 75. So, based on this, they said their reasoning was you want to get, you know, some high tier loot. You don't want the enemy level to drop off and you get trash loot. So enemies, I'm pretty sure they're going to start scaling with you more. So that's a W in general anyway. So one thing I forgot to mention, we will also be getting 2 additional character slots. So apparently something that I just learned after watching this video or this live stream was that we're going to be getting 2 additional character slots, right? So your seasonal character will be transferred to the Eternal Realm. I didn't know that, so I'm guessing every seasonal character is going to be transferred to Eternal. I wonder if that counts for hardcore as well. So you're going to have a lot more characters being transferred to the Eternal Realm. So that's interesting. That's something that I didn't know that I just learned today. So it's dope that we're going to get some more character slots. More improvements. Let's talk about some towns and vendors. So the Occultist has now set up a shop by the Tree of Whispers. That's a W. That should have been there, but I'm glad to see that they finally added that in. Stashes. They've added stashes to the small towns that have waypoints, so you don't have to transfer or TP to a capital city just to access your stash. Additional stashes have been added to capital cities near important vendors. That's a W. And the Gambler, aka the Purveyor of Curiosity, have set up shop closer to the waypoints in Kiovashad, Sarbinisset, Ket Bardu, and Gay Cole. That's a W too. Because normally the freaking Gambler is like in Narnia in comparison to the waypoint. You have to go deep in the city or like to the outskirts of the city. So that's a W. Holy crap, the mounts have finally gotten an update. Let's talk about this. Responsiveness. Mounts are now less likely to get stuck or slow down unexpectedly. Thank you. If you played D4, you already know how this goes, bro. Improved mounts automatically jumping over traversals. So you no longer get stuck on a barricade like you see in the picture down there. You can actually run through the crap. Oh my god. Or just, oh no, that's different actually. Jumping over like gaps. My bad. So that's different. So yeah, I just read another update. But let's see. Speed. Base mount movement speed increased by 14%. Top speed remains unchanged. That's a W. Achieving full speed when using a mouse and keyboard has been approved. Let's go. The speed boost from spur duration increased by 50%. Using spur, so your boost when you speed up on your mount breaks through barricades. So that's what I talked about earlier by mistake. So mounts can easily clear gaps. That's what that second point means under responsiveness. Normally it was like weird issues where some gaps you could clear, other ones you like had to reset kind of. This one means whenever you use your speed boost, you can fly through enemy barricades and you no longer get stuck. So that's a freaking W. Let's see, cooldowns. Manual dismount, 10 seconds to 5 seconds. So whenever you hop off your horse, it takes 5 seconds to get back on. Forced dismount when you get bodied off, 30 seconds to 15. Dismount combat skill, 10 seconds to 3 seconds. That's a, bro, me and my horse about to be out here thugging. Bro, they are going crazy. Nightmare Dungeons updates. Let's talk about this. So TPing or teleporting to a Nightmare Dungeon now takes you inside of the dungeon instead of you being teleported to the outside of the dungeon entrance. I mean, come on now. I don't even need to say anything much about that. That's a huge quality of life update that we needed. Events. The dungeon events monster density increased. That's more XP, more chances to get better loot. And the NPCs no longer get one shot in later world tiers. That's huge. Because there'd be some events that you fail because, the NPCs just die. Or if they're supposed to be helping you fight during the event, they get bodied ASAP. So yeah, this is a W. Traps. Overall readability has been improved. Crowd control overall has been greatly reduced. So traps is, the random traps that are around the Nightmare Dungeons, the rocks that fall on your head and whatnot. Overall, you can actually see the traps before they, go off or activate. You can see the area that it will affect better instead of it just, randomly hitting you. So that's a W. And the Paragon Glyph experience has also been increased. Bro, we love to see this. All right, so Nightmare Dungeon afflictions. These are the effects of each Nightmare Dungeon. On your sigil, it'll have you different. It'll tell you different things that this Nightmare Dungeon has. So Drifting Shade or the Death Pulse, all that fun stuff. This is what this affects. So Backstabbers. Close monsters attack from behind, cause you to become vulnerable. Vulnerable damage taken is increased by X%. So from the live stream, they were saying that instead of you instantly getting one-shotted, which happened to me a few times, you actually, you have a chance to react and reposition and, heal up and do that and reset, basically. The monster critical resist, bro, basically they had this to where your critical damage was nerfed. So now they've adjusted it to where they reduce the damage of your critical strikes for 3 seconds. So monster attacks reduce the damage of your crit strikes. Instead of the entire dungeon, you're just fighting with 60% or however much less crit damage. We were fighting the Butcher for a full 30 minutes because our crit damage was nerfed in the Nightmare Dungeon. So that's a W that they updated that. The Death Pulse, not the boil, but the pulse. They're preventing the death pulses on monsters that have on death explosion. So, when they die, they explode. They're preventing that. Prevent death pulses from spawning on top of each other. So that's a W. So, you walk in after one death pulse exploding, you shouldn't expect another one to explode right after that. So that's a W. Finishing out the Nightmare Dungeon Affliction updates. Lightning Storm. As you all know, if you watch me play live, I avoid this Nightmare Dungeon Affliction at all costs because it's annoying. It's only manageable while solo. When playing with a group, it's not fun to deal with. So let's read what updates they did here. Being shocked while in the bubble grants 35% bonus movement speed for 5 seconds. Lightning Storm will only start when players are in combat. Lightning Storm would only start when the player has a direct path to the bubble. So if I don't have a direct path to the bubble, the Lightning Storm shouldn't start. So I want to understand how this would affect groups. If I'm playing with a party and we're split, I want to understand does this affect that? That's one of my questions that I have. You know what I mean? And Drifting Shade, we all know, we all love it. The shadow that follows you around does decent damage to you. So let's see. Persistent duration from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And the respawn time increased by 2 seconds. That's a W. So in this live stream, they said, hey, we don't want you guys spending 3 hours running in circles trying to dodge the Drifting Shade. So we're gonna nerf that a little bit and make lives easier. More Nightmare Dungeon changes, bro. This brings a tear to my eye. So let's see. They completely removed objectives from a handful of dungeons. Not all, but some. So where you can just find the boss. So no more freeing the prisoners. No more, fill up, collect animus from these guys or bring the pillars back. Now they're, for a handful of dungeons, you can literally just go straight to the boss. So they placed objectives on the critical path through the dungeon. Layouts, they redesigned many dungeon layouts. Additional changes were made to dungeon layouts to limit backtracking. When I get lost or I get turned around in dungeons, that happens to me a lot. While preventing the dungeons from feeling too linear. W change again. Bro, about to cry on this, man. So this is an example of the layout changes they were talking about in the dungeons. I love the visuals that they've done in this live stream too. So on the left, you see season 1. On the right, you see season 2. So for instance, season 1, you kill the elites for the Animus mission, and you notice how all the elites are like spread out kind of. So for me, normally I would start in the entrance, go down, make a right, go all the way down south, kill that one on the bottom, and then oh crap, I got to go all the way back across. The way they've done it in season 2, they tried to make everything more, it flows better. So it's less of a chance for you to be like, dang, now I got to backtrack all the way back to freaking Narnia or the beginning of the Nightmare Dungeon to get Animus from this one guy. Holy crap, bro. They are doing updates on everything. World events now. Legion events. The time between events reduced from 30 minutes to 25 minutes. The warning timer, so the thing that pops up on your map to say, hey, you got this amount of time to get here, is increased from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Fix an issue where the Legion event pin would not display at the edge of a player's minimap if a Whisper was active for the Legion event. Okay, we'd love to see that. World Boss. World Boss spawns have been reduced from 6 hours to 3.5 hours. Fixed an issue. Oh, wait. I skipped over. Warning timer increased from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. So, again, the symbol that pops up on your map before it starts, they increased that from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. They fixed an issue where the World Boss pin would not display at the edge of a player's minimap if a Whisper was active for the World Boss. A message is broadcasted to all players when the World Boss is 15 minutes from spawning. That's beautiful because so many times we'll be locked into a Nightmare Dungeon or just doing Helltide and we'll just like, dang, we'll lose track of time. So all these extra notifications, all these updates, freaking W. Especially the World Boss. So many times I'll get on after work and I'm like, bro, World Boss, I just missed. And then what? It didn't spawn for another freaking 6 hours. Well, I can't even enjoy the World Boss for today. In-game activities. So let's see. Nightmare sigils rewarded from Whisper caches. So when you do the Trio Whispers and you turn in stuff, now always will be within 5 levels of the highest level Nightmare Dungeon the player has completed. So previously, they wouldn't be relevant. So you turn in the Whispers, you get some Nightmare sigils. They're not even relevant to the tier that you're doing. So that's a W change. Gold reward from the Whisper caches has been greatly increased. More gold, bro. Come on now. Can't complain. All these rerolls we got to do. Come on now. Experience from Whisper / Helltide has been increased. We are definitely about to be running Helltide again. We can satisfy our bloodlust and we can get some more XP. Come on now. Come on. And I was already getting decent XP from doing Trio Whispers. So yeah, even like increasing that substantially, bro. That along with the 40% increase in XP this season in general, W. We're going to have every character at level 100 low key, huh? Whisper caches adhere to the item slot of the cache. Helltide chests now have specific icons on the map to indicate their type. So whether it be a weapon cache, or armor cache, the chest, whatever you need, bro. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. UI UX fixes. Let's see. Items can now be marked as favorite or junk in your stash or inventory. Favorited items cannot be sold or salvaged. Because I think I've done that a few times. You just in the salvage mode, you just click and crap, and boom, you salvage the item that you didn't want to salvage. Yeah, this is perfect. Extracted aspects with the same legendary power will now be grouped together when sorted in the inventory and stash. It's so beautiful. For example, you extract an aspect and it's just like a decent or better or a worse role than what you already have equipped. Now it's going to be grouped together. Oh, it's so beautiful. When sorted, my bad. Sorting of the normal affixes on items has been improved to be more consistent. Dungeon map tooltips that have active whispers associated with them will now display the aspect name and description earned when completing that dungeon as well. Stash can now be searched and filtered to quickly find more items. So now your stash has a search bar. A search bar, bro. You can search. No more scrolling over everything. You can search. More UI UX changes. So they added streamer mode, apparently. That's A. Players that wish to hide identifying info such as character name or battle.net tag can now find these new settings. That's a W. Combat text has an added option for hiding the text, i.e. vulnerable, dodge, fortified, when that text pops up mid-fight. Auto run, they added an auto run feature, bro. Let's go. When pressing the bound key / button, player character will continuously move in the direction currently faced. Bro! And the mini-map has been zoomed out farther to capture a wider area. Let's talk items now. Let's see. Gems no longer drop directly as rewards. So, you know, having 1,000,000 gems in your freaking stash, if you're like me, yeah. No more picking up 1,000,000 of those or just, you know, monsters randomly dropping those. So now apparently we will earn gem shard materials that we can use to go to the jeweler and craft gems as we need. Basically, this saves so much stash and inventory space. Oh my god. Enchantment costs have been updated. So what I heard in this live stream was that the initial cost as you enchant your item is going to be higher, but as it scales, it won't scale as high as quick. So your costs they won't get as high as quickly as they normally do. It's going to be lower, but the initial cost is going to be higher. Crafting materials will drop in place of lower item power, normal magic, and rare equipment in world tiers 3 and 4. So basically what they said here, we should never expect a normal item to be dropped in world tier 3 and 4 from monsters. So that's a W2. All right, more item updates. Let's see. Higher level monsters in world tiers 3 and 4 drop sacred and ancestral items of greater item power potential. So the way he broke this down in the live stream was that, you know, by the time you're level 65, you basically found all of your sacred or your good item power items. Besides, you know, some ancestral stuff that you're hunting down. But, you know, the item power that you have or the items that you already have equipped are basically good, and you don't really need to farm too much more for your higher levels as you get up past 70 and whatnot, which was sort of the case for me with, like, one of the bows or, you know, some stuff like that. Like, one of the bows or one of the weapons that I had. Basically, it was no point in me trying to farm for it. I had a really good item power on it. And, yeah, that's it. So let's see. Normal Whisper Cache rewards now provide plus 10 item power. Upgraded caches now provide plus 20 item power rewards. Helltide Cache rewards now provide items of plus 20 item power value. That's a W, bro. About to get some really good loot now. That's all this really revolves around. Improving the loot as you get up to the end game. So there you have it. That is the dev chat. As of today, everything that we know about Season 2 thus far. Remember that we have a campfire chat coming up next week that we will be reviewing as well. And then a week after that, Season 2 launches. There is so much content to look forward to in Diablo 4 Season 2. I'm super excited for it. I've never been on the D4 bandwagon. I don't know why everybody else was, but hey, they're trying to address it. They're giving us communications. What else can we ask for? There are some other developers that give no communications, you know? Just throwing that out there. Not throwing shade. Not going to mention any developer names, but you know who you are. But we're looking forward to that chat for next week where we go into more depth about class changes, you know, skill changes, more details on item updates, mechanics, and all that fun stuff. So I'll definitely make a video on that as well. But as always, y'all, like and subscribe. We'll be back live streaming next week or, you know, a week from today since I'm not live this week. But as always, I appreciate y'all. Until next time, peace out.